All right, boys and girls of YouTube. So we're going over one of the core questions as a jungler I get and you all ask, and really there's no one way to answer the question. There's so much to go over, so this needs a video. Like 100% needs a video. It's how to gank. How do I gank? When to gank? What do I know? What do I need to know when I do gank? Like these questions are all bundled into one. How to gank is such a generic question. When to gank is such a generic question. There's rules you gotta follow and learn and kind of ask yourself for a process before you just run in for a gank if you're actually trying to win a game. My main rules to follow are these, and then we'll go back over each one. Is a core buff up that you should be getting? And if it is, will the enemy take it if you go for that gank? And is the gank worth it if it's successful, even if they take that buff from you? So in the early game, that is a core question you will ask yourself. It's a long question, but it's pretty generic. Is a buff up that's important for you to get for farm and gold and XP? And if you go for a gank, are you going to lose that farm to the enemy jungler? Early game, the answer is almost always, yeah, you're going to lose that farm if you go for that gank. And no, it is not worth it. Early game meaning sub 7 minutes. 7 minutes or under. You need to be there for all the speed buffs, all the back camps, all the blue buffs. Now, next question that your next rule you're gonna have to follow, or question you have to ask yourself, is there vision? Meaning, do they have vision of you if you go for a gank? Are actives down? Is the person you want to kill's actives down? Are key abilities down? Are their abilities down? The person you're going for the gank, is their ultimate down? That ability that's gonna get them out? Is their leap down? Is something core down? Is their positioning gankable? Are they playing up? Are they playing close to the jungle side of the lane, meaning you don't have to go very far into the lane to kill them? Are they hugging the wall and playing back? Because that's going to be a lot harder for you to kill. So positioning is important, and it stays kind of consistent throughout a match, so you can tell right away how they're positioning. Is there anything for you to gain if you go for a gank? Early game ganks have value because they give your team pressure, they give you map control, they give you gold and XP. That's in the first 5, 6, 7 minutes of a game. After that, usually you're going for kills and ganks if there's an objective to get. You're going to be able to go for a tower, the gold fury, one of their buffs, a red buff, a speed buff, a blue buff, whatever it is. What are you ganking for? Why is it important that you gank, and what can you gain out of it? After, I'd say 10 minutes at max, after 10 minutes, if you can't tell yourself what you're killing that person for, then there's no point in killing them. And then finally, once you get to that later game stage, will you lose Gold Fury or Fire Giant if you go for this gank? Just attempting it. Could you lose those objectives? If the answer is yes, don't fucking go for them. Now we're going to get into a little bit more in-depth stuff and overlay some gameplay on this stuff, so it kind of makes sense for you. Going back to that original rule to follow. If the core buff is up, if a speed buff is spawning, so in the first 3 minutes, your speed buff is going to respawn, right? Your first full respawn. If you go for a gank in the duo lane during this time, you're going to lose your speed buff. If that gank is not successful, you will lose a fucking monumental amount of farm, and you will probably fall 2 levels behind. If that gank is successful, you will still probably be a half a level to a level behind, even if you are the one that gets that kill, because their enemy jungler is going to get your speed, they're going to get your back camps, they're going to get your blue buff, and then they're going to go to their side of the map and they're going to get all that farm as well, while you're just going for a gank and then backing to base. You are gaining nothing during that time, and they are gaining full of everything. Now on the counter side of that, if you ever fuck up and you aren't paying attention to the timer, you do go for a gank and you know they're going to take your farm, change your mentality and change your pathing. If you know your farm's probably gone, or you think it's gone, go to red buff instead of speed buff. Just go straight to red buff. Don't even back to base. Just go get the farm that's coming up as fast as humanly possible. And during this time, you can type to your jungler, or sorry, your mid laner. You can tell your mid laner, hey, can you go see if my speed's up? Can you go grab the trophy system, the trophies, whatever it's called. I don't even know what it's called. You go hit the trophy for the gold and check if gold's up or speed's up at the same time. They can look for you, and that will affect your pathing, but it'll keep you semi-farmed. You won't fall too far behind. But that is a very, very important question to ask yourself in the early game. Your timing during that is monumentally important. Next up, the next rule we talked about is there vision? This goes both ways, but mainly for you. Do they have vision of your pathing? If you walk over a ward, if you go out of your way to go for a gank, and then you walk over a ward and that person backs off right away, you've wasted so much time. 5 to 10 seconds walking to somewhere and then getting nothing out of it in Smite as a jungler is fucking horrible, and will set you so far behind the enemy junglers. On the counter side, do Do you have vision of their team? If you go for this gank, is their support going to show up and fuck up the gank? Is their jungler going to counter gank you and land on you with a Thorald as soon as you engage? You want to know where they are as much as you want to know if they know where you are, which sounds ridiculous, but that is information you want to try to process. Early on when you're learning, if you're new to Conquest, that's not something you need to prioritize just for playing the game, but it's something you need to start to prioritize to get more wins. Next rule to follow, are actives down? That's just simple. Did they use beads recently? Do you have the beads timer? Do you know when their beads are coming up? If you do and you know they're down, go for a fucking gank, because it's a free ass kill. If their beads are up, ask yourself, if they have actives, can I kill them? Are they gonna beads my Hun Bat Salt and turn on me? Like, that is something you need to be able to answer to yourself in your head as you're deciding where you're going with your pathing and who you can and cannot gank. Next up, next rule, is their positioning gankable? We talked about this. Are they playing up? If they're an ADC and they're playing in the middle of the lane or farther than that up towards your tower, that's a free kill. That's always gankable. If they're playing at the back of their creeps, their archers, and they're hugging the wall, and every time they think something's happening, they back off a little bit, that's gonna be very, very hard to gank unless your ADC or your soul lane or whoever it is can bait them into like a one-on-one into taking a little bit more damage so you can kill them. Is there anything to gain? Is our next rule. This is as you get further into the game. You go for this gank, what do you get out of it? Do you get map pressure? Do you get a tower? Do you get the Gold Fury? That doesn't even have to be an answer or something you answer as you're going for the gank. You don't always have to think of that ahead of time. That has to be like, all right, I want to go try to kill this guy, but what am I going to get? Sometimes it's in the middle of a fight. Sometimes you go for a gank, it's a little prolonged, or you've chased a little farther than you want. As you start to get out of that area where the fight originally started or the gank originally started, ask yourself that question. Why am I doing this? If I get this kill, what do I get? And if you can't instantly tell yourself what you get, stop going for it. Back the fuck out. Don't do it. Cancel. Get out of there. Go get some farm somewhere else. Last up, will you lose Gold Fury or Fire Giants? That is something you need to ask yourself before you even start pathing somewhere. This is core when you go for ganks on the solo laners. If you put a lot of time and effort into the solo lane, you will lose Gold Furies. That is how it works. After, I'd say 10 minutes, you are guaranteed to lose a Gold Fury if you go for a gank on the solo lane against players that aren't idiots. You will spend a lot of time killing that solo laner because they're tanky as f, and that will give the enemy team a lot of time to do an objective and then set up for the next objective. They could get gold and potentially Portal Demon if your gank isn't flawless, which is a scary thing to go for and something you need to recognize. Why are you going for a gank? What are you getting out of it? If your teammate's crying, gank my lane, gank my lane, gank my lane, like, who the fuck cares? If you can't get anything out of it, tell them to fuck off. Ignore them, mute them. Who the fuck cares? It doesn't matter. Those are your rules to follow while going for ganks. Now, outside of that, once you've asked yourself or processed all that information, and you're actually going for ganks and you're looking at who you're targeting is core. This is outside of those basic rules to follow. This is where you start to get in depth. Targeting is important. Early game ganks in the duo lane, the support's almost always more susceptible to being killed than the ADC. The support is always going to be trying to position to support his ADC and keep him alive. That makes him way easier to kill. Guardian's Blessing is not making him tanky enough. If he doesn't have boots yet to get away on top of that, you're easily killing the support more than you're killing that ADC. That ADC is always going to have beads or Aegis. That support is always going to have a shell or something aggressive or blink, and it's going to get him killed absolutely. So early game duo lane ganks, look for killing the support only, and then on the other side of the map for the solo lane, opposite types of damage is going to be core for ganking the solo lane. If your solo laner does magic damage and you do physical, it's going to be a lot easier to kill that solo laner for the first 10 minutes of the map than if you are both pumping out the same kind of damage. If you're both doing physical, it's going to be very hard to kill somebody stacking physical defense. If you're both doing magical damage, it's going to be very hard to kill somebody stacking magical defense. So recognize that for solo lane ganks. And then mid lane ganks are probably the hardest to do consistently. Usually requires you to dive a tower, which is risky. Outside of that, you want to pull your mid lane ganks out of that mid lane altogether if possible, because like I said, you don't want to dive towers. You don't want to be on their side of the map, which is very easy because the map is the lane is short. Look for ganking them, killing them over buffs, over the mid camps, over their side mid camps, over their red buff. Look for where they're going to be two-manning a buff, the jungler in the mid. That's where you want to try and kill them, less than when you want to try to kill them in the lane. Like very less often do you want to just kill them in the lane. There's your basic rules in terms of each lane and who you're targeting and how you're doing it. Obviously kill the mage most of the time in the mid lane, and notice who has mobility and who doesn't. If it's a high mobility mage, kill the jungler. If it's a high mobility jungler, kill the mage. Just simple stuff like that. As long as your targeting is more pinpoint to who you can kill and who you can kill the fastest, you'll do better throughout the game as a jungler going for ganks. And those are your basic rules for ganking. It is not super intricate at the base level. Base level, it's like, I'm gonna try to kill this guy. That's what you're gonna say in your head. You're like, I want to kill this guy. These are the things you're gonna do when you want to be more accurate with it. You want to be more precise, and you want to have more successful ganks and allow yourself more time to farm when that gank isn't going to be successful. All these rules, play some games. Let me know how it works out for you guys. If you learned something from this video, please hit the like button. Please drop a comment and let me know what you guys are thinking. Like I said, please go try these things and come back and then comment as well. I'll do more if this is what you guys want. I have no problem doing this. I think this is a question I've gotten probably 10,000, not even joking, 10,000 times over the last 6 years. I get this question all the time and I'm like, how do I answer that? Like on stream, how am I going to give you a how to gank answer when there's like 800 fucking points and things I have to hit? Hopefully this hits those things. You learn something and I can do some more stuff like this. I'll see you guys in the video later today, tomorrow, the next day, and whenever else I put out videos.